Okay, it's a really hot day. Why not try this one outside? Rock. Okay, well, I was thinking about how. Okay, so what happened was the neurofeedback, in which they put electrodes on my head and told me that you want to do the same thing with the brain waves as what would happen if you do a muscle flexing thing. And but you can't do a muscle flexing thing because it recognizes that must be muscle tension in your brainwaves, and the computer goes beep beep beep, so you can't do that. You have to do, so I try to do an internal clench as hard as I could in order to just try to get the brainwaves to go up and down real fast, because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was just told to focus and look at the brainwaves and try to get them to go up and down, and that's what was able to do that. But anyways, what actually happened was an amazing thing that no one even knows maybe that can happen, but it certainly, oh boy, it does. Okay, so let's go back before doing the biofeedback, right? Before I'm my innate self, in which all of my feelings are connected within, like, the thoughts, and the thoughts are kind of farther out in front of me like this, and the feelings are all just automatically just your innate self. You have somatic feelings. Those are like your gut feelings, your emotional feelings. They're all like interconnected with your thinking, and you also have the sensation of the exterior environment much more so, because your body is relatively relaxed, and whether that be your feet on the ground or just the sensations of not just what you're touching, but everything around you that you could touch if you got closer to it to touch it. You have like a sensations. You have this more of a somatic feeling sensation on everything, right? And your vision is clear into all of that. Okay? So this is important because these somatic feelings, these gut feelings, these emotional feelings, that are connected with your thoughts, you actually take those somatic feelings, they get used into the suction of the internal clench. And I'm just trying to internally squeeze or whatever and all that stuff. But somehow your somatic feelings, when you release the tension, the somatic feelings flow, right? Your somatic feelings can very much get inverted in this way, and that's what I did. I inverted them into an internal clench. I kind of call it like a tunnel of clenchation. I mean, up in my eyes, everywhere in my head, my face, everything. Painful. And by the way, it's very, very painful. And you know what increases the pain for proving that it's your somatic feelings that inner clench into you? Your thoughts get very, very shallow in this tension as well. And then all you are is feeling the tension, and maybe you're trying to stop the tension from within, but that doesn't really matter because you can't stop it. Once you kind of lock into that, even if you try to stop it from within the tension itself, or you try to not try, either way, it stays held in that tension, and your thoughts are very shallow, but everything then is projected from this tension onto everything else, and your whole body is definitely tenses up more, but because you concentrate it so much into your face, that's where it's really painful, up in the face and head, and all the areas in which you're kind of just concentrating on it, kind of almost like constantly fearing it or something. I mean, like because it is using maybe a little bit of thoughts that are roaming so shallow you wouldn't even know that you're using shallow thoughts to do it. But the shallow thoughts are being used for it. So it's I mean, this is a new scientific discovery type of thing, because no one in the world has ever, anybody that's done it or whatever, it's not something that you are able to, I'm trying to get more of a privacy, because this is a very unusual thing that I'm talking about, right? It's not something you want to tell people about, but it's so unfair, it just should have never happened to me at all, but yet I have to be like basically ashamed of it, I guess, even though it wasn't my fault. In any case, okay, so anyways, so the thing is, in that internal clench, right, so with those shallow thoughts left over, and I mean, it takes away most of all of your thoughts. You basically become a zombie in the inner squeeze. I call it tenuption. Okay, the tension up in your head, right? Within those shallow thoughts, say you want to muster up some anger or something. Well, that anger will just intensify the tension. So now let's go to the opposite. Let's go to your innate self, right? So any kind of feelings, you don't even want to think, because you're trying to think with tension. So it's like the idea, think of a complex math problem. I'm thinking with the tension. Oh, ouch, like literally, ouch, right? It's, absolutely the worst thing that can ever happen to you in the world. But yeah, it takes away all your thoughts, right? So let's go to the opposite. Let's say, in order to release that tension, it is not about trying to release it from within the feeling itself, because it is such a different feeling, being able to escape it onto the exterior, basically, in which your concentration then zones out into the exterior. So much so, and you got to put thoughts into it, because what happens is, the end result is that your innate self, everything about your innate self is all just simply controlled within the thinking. Okay, with all the thinking, it's just all, so your emotions automatically happen with your thinking. You can control your thoughts, but that's it. I'm trying to do like Tai Chi types of controlling of my feelings. And in the innate self, that's not how it works. The innate self, it's only controlled with the thinking. But first you have to get the thinking released from the tension. So in order to do that, you cannot be sensing or concentrating on the feeling of the tension as you try to stop it. In order to break out of it, yes, you get a concentration. Yes, maybe try to just get a little bit of it, just try to get as much relaxed. And because you won't be able to relax in the isometric inner tension, because it takes like thinking to relax, and your thinking is all skewed, all messed up, and it's all dissociated. I mean, even your slight shallow thoughts of you when you try to think of yourself are like all third person-y. They're not even in the first person, right? And yeah, so like, yeah, try to at least adjust that. Get more in first person. Try to try to get a sense of the ground, and try to get a sense of the tree, the feelings of the exterior, the feelings of the ground around here. And that's because the reason why that is actually helpful is because actually getting that sense, rather than just doing it Tai Chi style, where it's like thoughtless, sense of the exterior, you're also trying to add thoughts to that exterior too. So you're thinking about, what does that grass feel like, without me touching it too. The more thoughts you can start giving that concentration on the exterior, the better. And then along with that, you'll feel the tension releasing. And instead, it will be flowing into the feeling like that, like say, like in Tai Chi, they try to do a Tai Chi ball of energy type of thing. Well, it's like that too, except probably more further out onto everything that is being seen, right? Everything that you're seeing. And so that is like the start of your gut feelings coming back. And then with the start of that gut feelings coming back, within that, you just start thinking out there, like get your thoughts flowing kind of further out from you. So you're getting that sensation of the exterior, and you're getting your thoughts flowing farther out from you all at the same time. And then once that happens, like basically the thoughts start reconnecting into your somatic feelings, right? Now, we might be able to start having emotions again. Like I might be able to think of something exciting, and then I'll feel excited, right? And this is another thing too, the talking with the hands too. Within that, as it's reconnecting, like talking, like you're trying to start talking with your hands. Think about the idea of going to LA and trying to get an acting job, and what you have to fully release from the tension and start thinking and start getting sensations on the exterior with all the thoughts, like even more so, right? So like put some kind of ideas into you to get those thoughts rolling within the somatic feelings again. Okay, and so just a little bit of a release like that, like say, yeah, but maybe I am still feeling a little bit of it. Well, all you need to do is just start getting like almost like a little bit of a majority of the feeling on the exterior, almost like a little bit of a majority of your concentrated feeling connected with the thinking. So it's like you're getting all the getting the tension focused, grounded out of you. And you too, probably maybe at a start, depending on how fucking interlocked you are, you're trying to even get more into your body, because even though it is an inner clench in which you're stuck in an inner tension with the clench, it's clenchation, the grounding within the body isn't there either. It's like the tension, it's almost, that part's dissociated too. It's like you need to ground into your body too, and then also and then expand that concentration into the exterior, getting the somatic thoughts flowing, the tension, the inner isometric tension released into somatic feelings. Because your somatic feelings went from exterior to everything that it's seeing and whatever, feeling, and it is being sucked into itself, like I was saying before. So when it's sucked into yourself, the shell thoughts left over, and I'm trying to think of something that would be emotional, all it does is just instead of it increasing gut feelings of emotion, it just increases the face and head tension even harder. It makes the squeeze, it all gets inverted into that inner tension squeeze. So that's the scientific thing that no one's ever known, about the mind and how it can get inverted, and how you have to, and the way in which you can expedite it, externalize it. I just got a little distracted there by someone over there. Yeah, I never go out of the house. How come there's all these people out of the house? Yeah, there's a reason why I don't go out. Because of biofeedback. What it did to me. And how it ruined my fucking life. But anyways, so going back into your innate self. Okay. And so now my main point is to, once the somatic feelings start rolling within the thoughts, after you're able to kind of zone out and get a feel of the external world more so in this sort of way, in your thoughts, and you add your thoughts into it, into kind of where you're getting the feel of it, but they'll just start. It's almost like they're rolling right in the middle of that. Once those thoughts start rolling and getting some sort of reconnections back into your somatic feelings, okay, then all you have to do is just, that's why I would say, like, okay, you're out of it now. Don't try to fight anything anymore. Just keep thinking in this sort of feeling sort of way. Because then everything is more so totally taken care of within the thoughts itself. You're not quite back into where everything is in the control of the thinking quite yet. But as you keep thinking with the tension released from you in somatic feelings connection within the external whatever, it will hold there along with the new sort of thinking. So what happened was the thinking went in, is completely connected with the somatic feelings, right? And what you did was you took the somatic feelings and you changed it, because you got perpetually stuck inside of the tunnel of tension, the inner tension within everything, and the thoughts just go totally blank, right? So then the reason why it perpetually stays stuck like that is because it's this new way of thinking, in which, real shallow way of thinking, but the thinking is constantly in a state of connection with an internal clench. Okay? And the reason why, when you externalize it and get it back into a somatic feeling connection with the thoughts, all you have to do is keep thinking. Well, basically thinking in that way, but mainly you just keep thinking, because the thinking, it perpetually stays on the external now, your innate way, before biofeedback. It perpetually will stay that way. It's not like I have to constantly be trying to sense the exterior Tai Chi style anymore. It will perpetually stay that way, because this new form of thinking is now reconnected with somatic feelings. And the new form of thinking in of itself, all you have to do is just keep thinking, right? Because it's disconnected with the internal clench. And you know what I mean? So it's like you're thinking with somatic feelings, your innate self now, versus thinking with internal clench, which became the new self. That's why it perpetually stuck, because you're in this new form of thinking that is constantly in connection with an internal clenching thing. And there is something that, like, before I was totally fearless, like I said, multi-state champion wrestler, voted most funniest kid in my class, by far the smartest person that I knew of, one of the smartest in the world, I guess. And then when I got mind manipulated into that, not knowing what I was doing, I became like a total zombie, and everything was a projection into that internal, out of that internal clench, stuck in it. And but yeah, okay, what was I saying about that? So yeah, the reason why, okay, so it's kind of like somebody can experience, I was saying like how I was totally fearless my whole life, so I didn't ever even experience the feeling of what could be close to an internal clench before. Before this happened, and the thing that could be close to that would be like a fear feeling. So a fear feeling, people say that anxiety is like this internal clench, but it's probably more throughout their whole body. I'm not quite sure, but the anxiety thing is like the internal clench, and their somatic feelings are creating it, but it was thought driven. It was thought driven by like some fear, some real hard fear feeling, and they internally clenched in tension. And the people that say they get stuck in that are people that like start trying to manipulate that tension that the fear thoughts created. They try to manipulate it out of them, like kind of thoughtlessly, like within a Tai Chi style. Of course, it doesn't work. The thoughts brought it in. The thoughts have to bring it out. But for me, because it was a mind manipulation in which I internally clenched in a mind manipulation and tried to hold it and perpetually got stuck within that, it wasn't a thought-driven thing that got me into that internal clench. So it is not as easy to just pop out of it through like thinking. In fact, that doesn't work. I have to do the kind of mind manipulation, kind of thoughtless type of technique to first kind of at least release a bit of it. And that is the sort of grounding style techniques of getting things externalized. But you want to use the thoughts, because the thoughts are what's going to be your savior of everything. Once you reconnect with your thoughts, flowing with your feelings, your innate self in that way, then then you don't have to do anything except just keep thinking in that sort of way, right? And then you can control then you want more happy emotions and everything. Well, you just think happy thoughts or something, That's not even a big deal for me. So the thought control thing with more positive thoughts or whatever, it's just the releasing from, because even when I just said that, I started doing, it's very difficult because I got stuck in it for so long. So even when I go to think about like, oh, I'm gonna go watch a video on whether the cell phone or the tablet or whatever, it's so easy for me to watch it inner clench style, rather than thoughts flowing through it. So taking a book and it's being like more like just real physical right in front of my face and reading the words without very much visualization, inner clenched into the book of it, just that's not the way in which it's supposed to be done. Your thoughts are almost flowing through the book as you're reading it. They're not even really seeing the words as you're reading it. There's so much visuals going on with the thinking of everything in the book. Same with when I'm, if I want to. So that's another thing too, is now I'm trying to, just like if I'm back into the thinking connection with the somatic feelings, you're going to, when you think about the idea of reading the book or whatever, you're going to think of yourself as doing it while still staying while continuing to think as you're doing it, basically continuing to think almost, because really the internal clench, it's like the thoughts are so fucking shallow, it's basically not thinking at all. Yeah, and that's what too, in that internal clench, the tenuption, so like see my movements over here to over here, and you know, touching this and touching that and whatever. In the internal clench, those movements are all being done in this shallow internal clenching way. So it's like, whereas with all the thoughts flowing with the somatic feelings, those are just side thoughts, you know, to walk around here. It's just like a side thought. You just do a little thought of doing that while you maintain all of your thinking at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's a much different world getting stuck inside of the internal clench, the tenuption. So yeah, it's a fucking hell nightmare on earth. I did it through the biofeedback, which I did it wrong, as I explained in the beginning. So yeah, and it's weird because like say somebody is to get that fear feeling or whatever. Well, it was thought generated with a bunch of fears. So then they're like, calm down, let's think about a happy place. Let's start thinking about a happy place. And their thoughts are still so connected with that feeling, their thoughts are still so connected with their feelings that yes, they can just think about other stuff and clear that sort of tensions thing. It's a much more difficult situation when you mind manipulate an internal clench and hold it there. Whereas the thoughts don't do you any good. Well, the thoughts could do you some good. Like because it's almost like when you're escaping it, you are trying to remind yourself, I want to get my thoughts going, and yeah, let's make them positive as much as we can in order to start escaping it onto the exterior. But there's also that difference of the thoughtless Tai Chi grounding style thing going at the same time. You see, until those thoughts reconnect more into the outside realm and you're, you know, flowing with the feelings, then now I can finally talk up and down or whatever I'm saying. I can like express my emotions, because in the internal clench you don't have any emotions. Now the clench is releasing. It's starting to flow with a gut feeling. Now I can do things with emotions connected with the thoughts, and then, you know, just keep thinking, and then things will get deeper and deeper, and finally your innate genius self will reappear. It will reappear just by continuing the thinking. It will reappear, and then, oh God, and then and then you'll be even more and more connected to the, you know, exterior environment, if you will, just as you just keep thinking with that, in that way in which it is connected within the exterior. Thoughts will just, and then like if you want to increase your emotions onto something, you'll notice, okay, now that I'm thinking of thoughts that about somebody who harmed me, now I'm getting emotionally mad about it, not inner clenched, you know, with ouch. So, you know what I'm saying? The functioning of the somatic feelings being sucked into an internal isometric inner tension versus the functioning of it being back out into your innate somatic feeling way in which it is connected to the thoughts, and you have more of a sensation on the exterior. Your eyes loosen up, because man, I interclenched everything, even my eyeballs and everything. I mean, it's been a fucking horror show, you know. And you know, not my fault, but there's nothing you can do about it because it's so unbelievably complicated what happened to me, and it's such a rarity that you can't even get people to understand it, much less relate to it or whatever, because it's just something that wouldn't naturally ever happen to you, you know. But yeah, there is a way out. I mean, most commonly, if you did a mind manipulation that got you stuck in an inner clench like that, with your mind, all your thoughts just zombieing into it like that, the most likely outcome is that you will be stuck in that for the rest of your fucking life. I mean, if you don't have the antidote, which I am giving you right here, right now. I was able to figure out the antidote and how to do it and everything, but yeah, it took a lot of thinking and stuck in the shallow place. What is that? The Get Out, trying to get out of the shallow place, the movie, you know, Get Out. It's much more difficult too in the shallow place because you're hardly thinking at all, right? And then to be able to get out enough to be able to be like, okay, this is what it's like, because no one can describe what it's like for them, their innate selves, because they've always been their innate selves. The only way you could not be your innate self is if you did a mind manipulation biofeedback thing in which you did what I did in the way that I did it, as far as I know. There is that thing where somebody's getting fear feelings and they're trying to control their fear feelings from within, kind of thoughtlessly. That could be very similar. But other than that, no natural thing could have made it happen, you know. And so that's why no one knows what they're doing, how they function in their innate ways in which they do it. But that is something you have to figure out, because you have to switch into that. It's a totally different feeling being stuck in an inner clench versus back into your innate self with your feelings connected within your thoughts. It's such a totally different feeling. You have to kind of figure out what that is. And, you know, so I had to discover something that no one knows, even though everyone does. Anyways, have a good day.